as the biggest beneficiary of the war increases their followers rapidly at a terrifying pace, reaching over tens of thousands of followers. A mysterious force lurking in the shadows suddenly threatens their growth and the safety of the other 4 major bases. At this moment, Li Jian, with a somewhat puzzled look, stares at the apple Yuan Kongya tossed his way. Seeing no problem in eating a mysterious fruit, Li Jian took a bite, and immediately upon doing so, he felt like a new person. Clenching his fist tightly, Li Jian noticed that his body was suddenly full of strength, and the feelings of hunger and cold have disappeared, almost like his body never experienced such feeling before. Seeing this, Yuan Kongya gave Li Jian his first task as a priest of the Snow Worship Sect. Father Li, your mission is to use your ability to cultivate this sacred tree. Let it grow more vigorously. Only in this way can we support more believers. Yes, I will follow your instructions, great leader. Li Jian then took a sharp blade, walked up to the sacred tree, and without any hesitation, he cuts the tip of his middle finger, then raised his wounded finger towards the roots of the sacred tree. With his ability to cultivate plants with his own flesh and blood, Li Jian willingly forced out an enormous amount of blood from his finger, flowing out like a fountain. The vines of the sacred tree absorbed all the blood immediately upon contact, not letting even a single drop go to waste. After the absorption, the sacred tree's vitality grew stronger and started to grow faster, emitting a rich and radiant glow as the vines also increased in number and size. With his task done for now, Yuan Kongya heals his finger and added, "From now on, you must feed the sacred tree with blood every day. This is your glorious mission." Hearing this, Li Jian had no objection and nodded in agreement. Back at the shelter, in the training area on the 3rd underground floor, Zhang Yi was practicing martial arts with Liang Yu, while Chunlei and Uncle Yu exercised with heavy bag workout and lifting weights respectively. Soon, Chunlei sat down with heavy breaths. Chunlei had noticed during the battle that Liang Yu and Zhang Yi had the ability to devour supernatural powers. The mutants who attacked the shelter before were also different in strength. I can't just sit idle and let things go on like this. Otherwise, every time I fight, I'll be improvising and just offering mere support. Zhang Yi had noticed the sudden change in Chunlei's behavior after the battle. So as he approached him, Zhang Yi decided to offer some word of insight. Zhang Yi told Chunlei to be smart and decisive. The more you use your superpowers, the more proficient you become, and the more you use them, the more powerful they become. But the most important thing is to have a brain. If we regard superpowers as weapons, in addition to improving the strength of the weapons, we must also have the brains to control the weapons. After all, a pebble thrown by a master is more powerful than a shuriken thrown by an ordinary person. Hearing this, Chunlei had a sudden realization. I was too obsessed with the strength of my abilities. But when the boss killed Ling Feng, he didn't rely on his strength, but his intelligence and brains. I can't devour other people's superpowers, so the upper limit of my power is limited. But if I can develop my abilities to the maximum extent, it may be powerful enough to rival almost anyone. Chunlei murmured this with fierce determination. The days quickly went by and soon, a month had passed in a blink of an eye. At this time, in the depth underground of the West Mountain base, amidst the ruins and creepy noises, a loud boom continued to echo behind a massive reinforced steel door. Soon after, the door slowly gave way, crumbling with its concrete walls. A vast number of undead slowly walked out of the debris from the shattered building. Their creepy behavior was enough to make a person's skin crawl. The scene shifts back to the shelter. In the lounging hall, Yang Xinxin was giving Zhang Yi a status assessment on the 4 major bases. Judging from the current situation, Emerald Waterside Base still chooses to maintain its status safely. They have no intention of foreign aggression and enjoy their current territory. After Morning Dew Base lost in the battle of the 5 major bases, its leader Wei Dinghai was seriously injured, so he was the most conservative and kept shrinking his defense line. It even led to the emergence of other armed forces in the territory. Radiant Prosperity Base's dominance is still stable, and it has suppressed several waves of rebellion in its territory. And as for the Snow Worship Sect, this force can be said to be the biggest beneficiary of the war. Their members are increasing rapidly, and may have reached tens of thousands of followers. Zhang Yi raised his hand to cut Yang Xinxin off with a question. They are recruiting followers like crazy, but how do they support their survivors? Not every ordinary member of their congregation can become a useful warrior or labor force. Is it possible that Yuan Kongye really regards herself as the savior? Hearing this, Yang Xinxin replied that there was actually another possibility. Huh? Really? Tell me then. As of now is the end of the world, which is even more difficult than the troubled times. It is often at this time that the order of the world changes dramatically. But you, big brother, it's obvious that you have no ambitions. You just want to live a stable life. But it doesn't mean that other powerful people think the same way. The snow worship sect quickly became the largest force in Tianhai City by spreading its faith without even using force. Then Yang Xinshin continued in a warning tone. Wait until their followers are large enough and their teachings have also spread widely enough. At that time, even the 3 major bases, or even some of us, may be assimilated. In other words, someone in the snow worship sect wants to rebuild their faith and become a new god in the apocalyptic environment of disorder. Hearing this, Zhang Yi couldn't help but smile. Seriously, that sounds comical. Believe me, big brother, this matter is definitely not a joke. In desperate situations, people will try to seize every opportunity to survive, Yang Xinshin said. I accept what you said, but times have changed. Sighing heavily, Zhang Yi continued. Just relying on a large number of people cannot rule everything, and it still cannot gain an absolute advantage in the face of other major bases with modern armed forces. Hearing this made Yang Xinshin ask Zhang Yi another question. So, what if they use Yuan Kongye's blessing ability to awaken a large number of mutants? Mutants are just stronger humans. I have seen many mutants, but only a few are truly powerful enough to be feared. Yang Xinshin's entire demeanor shifted upon hearing this. So as she stares at Zhang Yi in admiration, she couldn't help but remark, Big brother, are you saying you are already very powerful? Is that the reason why you said that just now? Indeed, but as for the snow worship sect, I agree that we need to be more careful with this sect in the future. At that moment, a loud ruckus came from outside the shelter's compound, alerting Zhang Yi. Outside was a horde of undead approaching the shelter in full force. Seeing a vast group of people approaching the shelter, Zhang Yi quickly shouted, issuing a command to the AI system. Notify everyone in the shelter to gather in the living room immediately and activate all the defensive measures. Zhang Yi immediately took out a handgun from his alternate space, and as he walked towards the shelter's window, Zhang Yi decided to take a closer look outside to see which people were approaching his shelter. Looking out the window, Yang Xinshin wondered why there were so many people. Could it be that several other bases had joined forces again to attack? Where did all these people come from? Zhang Yi was by the window with a gun in one hand and a monocular in the other, observing the situation outside. At that moment, Uncle Yu was the first to arrive, and as he approached Zhang Yi, he asked, Zhang Yi, what's the situation? Is there an enemy attack? Zombies. Zombies had really appeared. Zhang Yi replied with a somewhat incredulous tone. The next person to arrive was Liang Yu, who quickly assessed the situation outside through the monocular given to her by Zhang Yi. Upon observation, Liang Yu noticed something familiar. These corpses. Could they have all crawled out from West Mountain Base? Curious, Zhang Yi asked, how did Liang Yu came to that conclusion? How did you figure it out? Well, if you carefully take a closer look, there are some zombies inside wearing West Mountain Base soldiers' uniform. They should all be from the West Mountain Base, especially the civilians in the Fourth Life warehouse. Hearing this made Zhang Yi ask, then, it's weird, isn't it? In such a cold ice age, the bodies were not only frozen into ice but could still move almost perfectly. Yang Xinshin chimed in, suggesting that it could maybe be some kind of virus that has been released. Fortunately, they are just some corpses which look a bit scary, but it is understandable that they could be vectors parasitized by a virus. Zhang Yi then took out a submachine gun from his alternate space. Let's go and kill these guys who can't live without death. Remember, you have to hit the head to be effective when killing zombies. But at that moment, Lu Karen spoke up. Big brother, please give me a gun. I also want to shoot at the zombies too. Zhang Yi had no problem with her request, and tossed another submachine gun her way. He even added, you should stay next to me at all times, and be sure to be steady when shooting so as not to accidentally injure friendly forces. Yes, big brother. Lu Karen replied in delight. Outside, the group formed a defensive line, but Uncle Yu became restless waiting, so he charged forward with a shovel in hand. Seeing this, Zhang Yi shouted for Uncle Yu to use a gun because that was more of a straightforward approach. But Uncle Yu, twirling his shovel rapidly, replied that he didn't need it. Besides, it was better to save some bullets. Liang Yu also dashes forward, charging at the zombies with her dragon's roar. Zhang Yi immediately started firing from behind. Seeing everyone already started fighting, Lu Karen asked Chunlei, Brother Lei, let's compete to see who can kill more zombies. Really? Then I must win. I picked up gun lessons about a month earlier than you. Immediately after, they both joined Zhang Yi, offering their support as the three release endless rounds of bullets. However, unlike the usual zombies they've seen in movies, these zombies get back up after being shot in the head. On the other side, Uncle Yu launched towards a zombie from behind. However, he missed as the zombie had enough awareness to dodge to the side. but was unfortunate as he was pierced through the heart immediately after by Liang Yu's sword. Seeing the fall of their comrade at that moment, the zombies let out a bone-chilling roar, then rallied together, charging towards the group in full force. Soon after, they were upon Liang Yu and Uncle Yu from all directions, surrounding them, their faces exuding a horrifying expressions. As the zombies dash for a tasty bite of Uncle Yu's flesh, he cleaves through them with his shovel effortlessly like a hot knife through butter. However, the severed zombies were still alive, and one even tried its best to still crawl towards the group with the intention of attacking. Seeing this, Lu Karen and Chunlei were both creeped out. What kind of monster is this, and why can't it be killed? Chunlei asked incredulously. Seeing the ineffectiveness of the submachine gun, Zhang Yi opened a huge portal of his alternate space as the zombies rushed towards him. The zombies, clueless about the capabilities of Zhang Yi's spatial ability, rushed into the portal in numbers. Seeing this, Chunlei couldn't help but be amazed. This is great. Fortunately, Boss Dimensional Gate is large enough. He can use it to get rid of all these brainless zombies. However, the situation was immediately jinxed by Chunlei's words of praise. Upon seeing none of their comrades not able to come out after entering the portal, the zombies suddenly halted their advances, surprising Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi thought the zombies were mutated corpses, so they shouldn't be intelligent, but these zombies can sense danger and stop. This is completely illogical. Is there someone who is controlling these zombies in the shadows? Just like the time before, the bodies of the soldiers disappeared for no apparent reason. If thus the case, then everything makes sense. Zhang Yi then proceeds to take out a tank from his alternate space, and as he climbs on top of it, he issued an order to Liang Yu and Uncle Yu through their telecommunication devices. Uncle Yu, Liang Yu, listen to my command. On the count of 3, you all try your best to jump into the sky. Upon getting inside the tank, Zhang Yi thought to himself, I'm not very good at driving this thing by myself, but I need to ask Uncle Yu on how to fire this thing. And as he did just that, Uncle Yu was pleased to hear that Zhang Yi understood his instructions, and soon after, the 3 seconds countdown began. 3, 2, 1. Liang Yu and Uncle Yu made a huge leap in the sky, and below them, a loud bang immediately sounded. The deafening explosion engulfed all the zombies in that area. Uncle Yu and Liang Yu made a mad dash for the shelter immediately after landing with the rest of the zombies in hot pursuit. And ahead of them was Zhang Yi, who got out of the tank, and upon landing, Zhang Yi took out a flamethrower from his alternate space. He then crouched down and released a massive flame on the incoming zombies. Soon, the disgruntled screams of the zombies echoed everywhere as they were engulfed in a sea of red flames. The zombies immediately turned back and started fleeing. Again, seeing this surprised Zhang Yi greatly. Why did they just run away? As of now, I'm certain of one thing, and thus these zombies must be secretly controlled by someone. As Zhang Yi stares at the burning corpses, he realized that when the manipulator behind the scenes found that it was difficult to kill them, he chose to run away in order to keep these zombies he had. Hearing this, Liang Yu replied that she really can't imagine how someone can control thousands of zombies at the same time. Moreover, these corpses are all frozen and cannot be killed even if they are beheaded. With such a powerful ability, he could have definitely become the king in Tianhai City. After all, the most people outside now are corpses. With everything shrouded in mystery, Zhang Yi told everyone about the urgency to figure out what these zombies really are, and most importantly, who controls them and how. He then put a severed arm in his alternate space, and continued that the fact that his alternate space can accommodate the zombies meant that they were indeed dead corpses, and did not have biological characteristics. But seeing that they were still moving on the ground was truly incredible. Zhang Yi then took out the flamethrower and instructed Chunlei to burn them. At least now we know they can still be burned to death. A while later, everyone gathered at the lounging hall, where Yang Min, still petrified with the whole zombie crisis, asked, "The dead body can still move. Could it be that there really is a ghost?" Hearing this, Zhou Haimei offered her some words of comfort, saying that it was hard to say. "I'd rather believe that this kind of thing exists than not believe that it doesn't exist. Staying in awe is the best." Zhang Yi spoke up immediately after, declaring that someone must be controlling those corpses. "Those zombies know how to avoid my alternate space and how to escape. This is a sign of intelligent creatures. So there must be someone secretly attacking us." Hearing this made Zhou Qir ask why someone will attack them. Yang Xinxin also added that they haven't offended anyone. Recently, only Morning Dew Base and Radiant Prosperity Base have had grudges against them. But if they had such powerful power, wouldn't they have used it in that battle long ago? Why wait until now? It happened so suddenly and it was so easy to figure out. In short, let's stay in the shelter and don't go out. It's very safe here, and the zombies alone can't break through. Zhang Yi said this, then he proceeds to ask Yang Xinxin to pay attention to other forces in recent days. Let's see if this phenomenon is only encountered by us, or is it common in Tianhai City? Yang Xinxin agreed with a nod. Okay, leave that aspect to me. Zhang Yi turned to Uncle Yu and Liang Yu. Uncle Yu, Liang Yu, you both need to check your body carefully. Since you guys fought them directly, there is the need to know if you two were able to completely avoid getting scratched by those things. Hearing this, they both agreed to cooperate with the inspection. But with their tense look, Zhang Yi told them to relax. I have no doubt in both of you, but we need to do this just to be on the safe side. And with that, everyone departed to do their tasks. Zhang Yi called out to Zhou Qier. There is one thing he needed her help with, but Zhou Qier already knew what Zhang Yi wanted to ask her, and although she didn't like it, she had to study the zombies. So when she asked what Zhang Yi was implying, he answered with a stern look. I always have to confirm whether these things really have viruses in their bodies or are controlled by a mutant using supernatural powers. Zhang Yi continued, if it is a virus, it will become a disaster covering the entire Tianhai City. No, it will even spread to the whole country and even the world. But if someone is secretly controlling these corpses, then that means that there is another extremely terrifying existence in Tianhai City that we didn't know about until now. Zhou Qier walked up to Zhang Yi and hugged him tightly. She wasn't particularly pleased with the thought of having to study the undead. Hearing Zhang Yi's explanation scared her. There is no need to think so much, we don't have that much thought to care about what the outside world is like. Zhang Yi said this as a way to ease her worry. He then proceeds to delicately smooth Zhou Qier on the cheek. What we have to do is to protect ourselves first. As long as this shelter can exist safely and soundly, we can continue to live well. At the shelter's infirmary, Zhang Yi took out the severed arm of the zombie from his alternate space for Zhou Qier to examine. Upon seeing the severed arm, Zhou Qier was amazed, and although she was initially afraid, her curiosity had overshadowed her fear. Zhang Yi warned her to be careful. It is not yet certain whether it is a virus or if it's contagious, but Zhou Qier reassures him not to worry. After all, she's a doctor. Or did he suddenly forget what she used to do for a living? She continued, telling Zhang Yi that she will need some time to research it. After cutting a piece of the flesh of the severed arm, Zhou Qier placed it in a container, then heads for the door. Zhang Yi followed. It doesn't matter, we still have plenty of time. If it wasn't a crisis of this magnitude, we could easily resolve it. Hearing this, Zhou Qier agreed. After all, our armed force is second to none in Tianhai City. However, if this kind of zombie crisis broke out among other forces, especially organizations like the Snow Worship Sect, it would definitely be very scary. Meanwhile, at Radiant Prosperity Base, the horde of zombies were attacking the base, trying to breach through their defenses. On one side was the soldiers of the base, holding the line by releasing an endless barrage of bullets. And on the other was Xiao Honglian, who stood tall, releasing a massive fire dragon, which engulfed the zombies in a sea of flames. She noticed that there were too many of them. However, at that moment, a soldier carrying a box called out to her. He then proceeds to place the box in front of her. Opening it, Xiao Honglian took out a spoon full of the content, then swallowed it in a gulp. Soon after, she released a massive sea of flames so intense that the zombies were torched to ash. With the zombies defeated, she leaped down from where she was, pondering. What on earth are these things? They are definitely not ordinary people. Xiao Honglian then ordered her men to go find out how the zombies appeared and whether there is anyone behind them. The scene shifts and Morning Dew Base were also facing a wave of zombies. With their large artilleries, the base sieved through the zombies like they were nothing. Watching the entire scene unfold, Wei Dinghai wondered where the zombies came from. Could they have been cultivated by some other force in Tianhai City? Or are there underground forces that we have never discovered in the past? As night descends, the followers of the Snow Worship Sect were having their meal. At the entrance of their headquarters, the two members on guard duty noticed a group of people approaching the gate. Where are you coming from? Do you need our help? The zombies easily managed to get past the guards and soon breached the wall of the sect. And immediately after, the screams of the Snow Worship Sect members echoed throughout the entire sect. Seeing their fellow sect members being devoured by the zombies made some of the followers have second thoughts in approaching. But in that moment, a member shouted, "Don't shrink back, fellow sect members. Our snow god will protect us." However, seeing the sheer number of zombies, the followers of the Snow Worship Sect made a tactical retreat to the sanctuary of the church with the zombies in pursuit. And as the zombies approached the entrance of the church in full force, a loud bang followed soon after. The bodies of the zombies that were caught in the explosion were blown to bits, leaving no room for them in attacking again. As the dust settles, Zhang Yi and his fellow sect members came out of the church. Upon seeing the corpses, Zhang Yi was a little taken aback, surprised to know that their enemy were actually zombies. Zhang Yi then issued an order to the two guys behind him. Tong Zhan and Gung Lei, you guys stay inside the church, and under no circumstances are you supposed to come out. Protect the sect leader and the believers in the church. Zhang Yi then proceeds to rally the other sect members. Fellow sect members, follow me to kill these zombies. A sect member, transformed into a human ape, dashes forward, and in an instant, he decapitates several zombies without breaking a sweat. But to his horror, the headless zombies still tried to attack him. Huh? So this isn't enough to kill you guys? Then will this do? The ape man sliced through the zombies with his claws. Soon, the bodies of the zombies were scattered in pieces around him. Curious, he remarked on how disgusting the zombies were. What the hell is this? About half an hour later, the followers of the Snow Worship sect were able to successfully eliminate all the zombies in their territory. However, everyone was curious as to what the zombies were. What the hell are those things? Zhang Yi ordered for all the bodies to be moved to the abandoned building behind the church. Also, check if there are any injured people. These zombies are too weird and may be some kind of biochemical virus. They must be observed separately for a while without any contact with other people. These things are so outrageous that they can't be killed, and they even know how to retreat. This is definitely not the mindless zombies that was shown on TV. Clenching his hands in anger, the guy continued, if this turns out to be the actions of other forces, I will definitely not be able to let them go scot-free. Zhang Yi told the guy to calm down first. The most important thing now is to protect the remaining people. Then, Zhang Yi began to wonder if a new storm was about to appear.